Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. I want to talk about a certain Muhammad Hijab, a very well known Muslim apologist who has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Muhammad Hijab, who is apparently a pervert.
So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was going through YouTube and I saw this video from apostate prophet, whatever the case is, but I think prophet would really fit this guy. So he said, shame on you, pointing an arrow towards Muhammad, brother Muhammad Hijab, and the video title is Muhammad Hijab Sex and Abuse Scandal Exposed Like His Prophet. This video had 213k views, subhanallah, in just 3 days, and then over 16,000. How is this even possible? Over 16,000 likes without even actually researching the video itself. And then it has over 4.5k comments. You can see one of the comments reads, the only shock is that she was older than 9, subhanallah. So I decided to click on this video and see, what is really happening. Is this true and all that? I know if it's coming from apostate prophet, one has to research it. Remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya walladhina amanu in ja'akum fasikun binaba'in fatabayyanu. Oh, you who have believed, if a fasik comes to you with a story, with an information, then you should investigate that information to see if it is true or not. Fatabayyanu أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. Perhaps you may hurt a people with ignorance, okay? Someone comes with an information saying this and that without even researching that information, then you pass a verdict. At the end of the day, you hurt a people, and then when you realize the truth, you begin to regret. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, for tusbihu, then you then start to regret. So when I was watching this, subhanallah, and as Allah would want it, I saw a notification from X, formerly known as Twitter, and this notification is of Muhammad Hijab explaining this same issue, subhanallah. I clicked on it, then I read it. Inshallah, we'll be going back to this, inshallah. And then after reading that, I came back to the video and I saw nothing but the rantings of an ignorant one. I'm going to introduce who this guy really is, okay, for us to fully understand what he does on YouTube and who this guy really is and what he's after. So before going into the rantings of the videos, do not forget to like this video, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel, for we hope to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We have a long way to go, so it all depends on you. If you're watching this and you're to subscribe, please do that, and if you can support the channel, we would be glad you do that. Asked Grok to be brutally honest who Apos really is, and this is the information I got. It says apostate prophet, real name Ridwan Aidamir, is a 34-year-old ex-Muslim YouTuber who has built a following since 2017 by critiquing Islam, often through provocative acts like tearing up the Quran, subhanallah. This is how this guy gained relevance, okay, tearing up the Quran and doing all sort of nonsense. And as Allah would want it, this man is trying to be a Christian, and his God, Jesus Christ, or whoever the God he believes in, is it the Father, is it Jesus Christ, or the Holy Spirit, or even if it is the three of them, used to allow blasphemy law in the Old Testament. You see, this thing is still there till this very day. So the question now is it morally okay that this was allowed then? Even if they claim that the laws are no more, in place, but is it morally okay? If he said yes, then don't critique Islam for the blasphemy laws. But if he claims it is not okay, then it means your God is not morally upright. Let's continue. Yet his approach reeks of inconsistency and intellectual shallowness. Like I said, if you believe blasphemy laws is not okay, then why would you want to be a Christian? The God of the Bible used to allow this before, even though you believe these laws are no more relevant. And this is why Grok is saying, yet his approach reeks of inconsistency and intellectual shallowness. While he positions himself as an expert on Islamic theology, once claiming to know more than 95% of Muslims. You remember the conversation he had with Ali Da'wah? He claimed that he knows more than 95% of Muslims. And subhanallah, this guy was asked to recite the Quran and he couldn't. So let's continue. His arguments frequently betray a superficial grasp of the subject, leaning heavily on emotional appeals. Subhanallah, if you should watch this video, he accused brother Muhammad Hijab of misyard marriage and mistreating this woman. You would understand that this guy appeals to people's emotions. And then it says, and cherry-picked contradictions rather than rigorous scholarship, ending him mockery as apostate for profit, subhanallah, for allegedly pandering to fanatical Hindu TVA and Christian audiences who fund him via Patreon. His rejection of terms like Islamophobia as tools to silence criticism ignores the nuanced balance between legitimate critique and cultural insensitivity. And his shift from early personal storytelling to a broader, often sensationalist anti-Islam crusade has alienated some former supporters who see him as a right-wing apologist, more interested in clicks than coherent discourse. This man is more interested in what? Clicks. So the title itself, subhanallah, no Muslim will see this and wouldn't click. And this is why you see the views in just 3 days over 213,000 views. So this guy is more interested in clicks than having a coherent discourse. Despite his stated mission to sever ties between religion and science, his lack of depth and neutrality undermines his credibility, making him a polarizing figure whose ignorance often overshadows any valid points he might raise. Subhanallah, as you can see, there are references there. So having known who this guy is, let's now move on to the rantings he has to offer, just to paint Islam as dark as he could.
It recently came out that he has been having a secret relationship with a woman aside from his married wife.
This is the story of my marriage to Muhammad Hijab and how his actions that he claimed are permissible by Allah have completely destroyed my life.
And that he has been basically psychologically using and abusing her until he eventually dumped her.
Told me, I am not like your ex-husband. Whatever you see on social media, don't worry, because I'm very good as a husband. Further to that, he was pushing the idea and reassuring me that I'm going to be very happy with him. Reassured me so many times and he's going to be taking care of everything. I'm excited. I'm excited. I am happy. I'm going to have kids. And I was ready to have children. All of a sudden, he stopped everything. He said, I think the best thing for me to do for you right now is that I wouldn't go ahead with this marriage. I was confused, especially after he opened up about his feelings. I tried to get explanations from him, but he didn't give me any reply. So we stopped contact. After like 8 months, he contacted me again. He apologized and said, I couldn't go ahead with the marriage last time because I had personal reasons. I am back. I am here now. Let's go ahead with this. I am ready. Don't worry. We're going to go ahead with this time. Let's just make things quick. And he was rushing up the process. He said, I am not ready. I'm not able to go and meet your dad in person for personal reasons. And I trusted him.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
He said, let's do this over Zoom. It's actually halal.
I mean, well, just to point out, there are some different interpretations of that. But even if you go completely literal,
and you just have to convince your dad. But he told me I'm not ready to show my face. I was confused.
After he lied to her forever, made empty promises.
So brothers and sisters, I really don't want to bore you with much of this rantings. As you can see, it's just rantings and rantings and rantings. And also Apos trying to appeal to people's emotions. And that's why at the end of the video he said, stay away from Islam.
You people are sick. Stay away from Islam.
So as you can see, it is pretty much evident that these people want you to stay away from Islam and not to study or not to have a reason to look into Islam. But that aside, I will quickly tell you what I noticed in this video before we move forward, inshallah. So first and foremost, I noticed that this person is reading from a script. If you listen carefully to this person's voice, to the lady's voice, you would notice she's reading from a script. And I believe if something happens to you or you're narrating a story that has to do with you, the story is going to come flowing like a river without you sounding like you're reading from a text. So you tell me in the comment section if you think the same. Secondly, I noticed that this voice sounds pretty much familiar. It sounds to me like the voice of Giant Doc.
Number one, your acquiescence to far-right figures like Tommy Robinson, again with the labels. Please understand though, they detriment the Muslim community, and anything that detriments the Muslim community is bad. Oh wow. He's basically saying, you know where your loyalties are, right? Stick to the Muslims, even if they're coming on a boat and then, committing crime against the natives.
I am ready. Don't worry. We're going to go ahead with this time. Let's just make things quick. And he was rushing up the process. He said, I am not ready. I'm not able to go and meet your dad in person for personal reasons. And I trusted him.
And there are reasons for me to believe that. First and foremost, I listened to another version of the story where the lady was interviewed and the voice doesn't sound like this one. And if you want to listen to that, go to Brother Muhammad Hijab's X page. You would see a link he shared to YouTube where someone narrated the whole thing and gave evidences why Brother Muhammad Hijab is being framed and this person is nothing but, a stalker. You would see the person's voice is totally different from this one. So I believe that this version of it is just an exaggerated version, just to present Islam as barbaric, as evil, as much as they could. Secondly, the reason why I think this person's voice is giant dog is when you look at Brother Muhammad's post on X, where he spoke about his own side of the story, you would notice a comment there, and this comment is coming from Giant Dog. They said that you are finished, boy. Subhanallah. So, like I said, there are reasons for me to believe that this thing is coming from them, and they are trying to frame Brother Muhammad Hijab. Wallahu alam, Allah knows best. But we know those people, and we know that they are critics of Islam without evidence, and also they are Christian apologists, and that's why every time you watch them, the message they always try to present is stay away from Islam, do not go to Islam, there's no reason for you to study Islam and all that. And this is exactly what Apos said at the end of his video: stay away from Islam. There's something Apos said at the end of the video. I think it is important for us to address this. He said, why are scholars not talking about this? Why are scholars not condemning Brother Muhammad Hijab?
But if I were to send a message here or appeal to people here, I wouldn't be appealing to this bastard anyway, to this sick maniac. My appeal would rather be to the Muslims and to the Muslim scholars and others who stood with him and the apologists who are friends with him. Is this what your community is? Where is everybody calling out this bastard, this sick man? Is this how Islam represents itself?
There are so many reasons for that, and I will be bringing the reasons inshallah. But before we talk about that, let's quickly look at Brother Muhammad's hijab side of the story. He posted on X. So on X here, Brother Muhammad said, my final word on the matter: a sister recently made a false allegation against me. It has been addressed. Like I said, the link is there for you to go and watch. Just go to Brother Muhammad's Hijab X page, then you would see the link. You can follow the link. You would see the evidences there and how it was analyzed. This is my final word. Produce your proof if you are truthful. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 111. The burden of proof is upon the claimant. This is the saying of the Prophet ﷺ. 3 days have now passed since Dunya Shuaib's ex-husband gave a platform to the stalker, who loudly proclaimed she possessed them in evidence. And yet there is nothing, no documents, no photographs, no voice notes, no witnesses, only silence. And this silence is not just disappointing, it is shocking given the severity and scope of the claims that were made. For accusations so sweeping and specific, the total absence of even the most basic forms of proof speaks louder than any allegation. One cannot shout fire in a theater, then flee when asked to show smoke. Even more disturbing is the glaring inconsistency of the ex, who in the very video below insists that evidence must be presented when he is accused, citing the seriousness of a claim like zina. Yet when it comes to the stalker, suddenly her testimony is evidence. Subhanallah. Yeah, Brother Muhammad Hijab showed this man, when he was accused of zina, then he was like, evidences must be shown if someone accuses another of zina. But however, when it comes to this lady accusing Brother Muhammad Hijab, this man saw her testimony as evidence. So let's continue. This is not justice, this is partisanship masquerading as principle. Those who claim possess the truth know how to bring it forward if they have it. And should anyone dare submit falsehood, let it be known others will respond on my behalf. Truth does not stand alone, it is defended, and not all of the defenders speak softly. And while we are speaking of truth, will the ex condemn what was aired under his watch? Would the ex disavow the open shirk where I was called a god? Subhanallah, we're going to go into that inshallah. And the vile supplication asking Allah to curse my children with cancer? Or does his hatred excuse anything, so long as it is aimed at me? His silence is not a shield, it is a signature. It speaks not of caution, but of cowardice, not of neutrality, but of malice. There is nothing further to add. I will continue the work that my team and I are committed to without distraction. I advise us all, do not give yourselves to suspicion and spectacle. Do not become tools for those on and offline who seek to harm Islam and Muslims. Preserve your dignity, and if you claim to stand for truth, then stand for it, even when it is inconvenient. So Brother Muhammad Hijab gave an update when this guy called Friendly Ex-Muslim tried to present an evidence, something he called evidence, to the case. So Brother Muhammad Hijab said, and when you present your so-called evidence, be sure to include the last digit of my UK number, the same number I have had for over 20 years, ending in 97. That number is known not just to friends and associates, but to enemies as well, including you. In other words, including this guy called your Friendly Ex-Muslim. So including him, Dunia's ex-husband. In the original video I made, I connected her voice directly to that number. There was no ambiguity. But now in this new video from the apostate Samir, there's no such effort. No digits, no number, no voice connection. In fact, I watched the video and I noticed that there's no date, that would show you when this happened. When you're presenting something, especially if it's a WhatsApp conversation, there has to be a date. But so when you screenshot, make sure that the date is there so we can investigate well. So no voice connection, just a vague screenshot and a claim. And once again, Samir is somehow the first to present it before anyone else had access. So I ask again, how did he get it? And why him? Who is feeding him this material? I reject it entirely and deny ever having written a word of it. Subhanallah. Like I said earlier, I would give reasons why scholars are not saying anything regarding this. First and foremost, when someone says she's ready to go to any length to get justice, even if it has to do with her shaking hands with the devil.
If no one would like to get me help with this, I would go to the most vile of the vilest of the... I'm in a public place, right? I have no problem even being hand to hand with shaitan to getting this up.
Would you take this person seriously? As a scholar, would you take this person seriously? No. You would understand that this person is possessed by a jinn or something, or this person is mentally not balanced. You claim to be a da'iyah, and then you are ready to go to any length just for you to get justice, even if it has to do with you shaking hands with the devil. Subhanallah. When someone hears this, when a scholar hears this, no one would take her seriously. And secondly, she prayed that the children of Brother Muhammad Hijab have cancer. She was even asked that this is not Islamically correct, and she said she doesn't care. What she knows is this is correct for her to pray for anything that has to do with Brother Muhammad Hijab or anything he owned.
Does he have any children, any kids himself?
Yes, and I'm making dua on them as well.
You're making dua on his children as well?
Yes. They're atoms, they're cells, they're bodies.
There's certain things that you're saying, like, making dua against his children Islamically, this is not correct,
With all due respect to yourself, right? You have respect for you and all that.
Absolutely.
So far, according to what I have, maybe there's something I have to look into, but so far I think that I have 100% permission to do that.
So you're saying you have evidence for this, to do this?
Like, what do you mean, sorry?
So this Islamically, like, you're saying that...
I just, I have to, you make dua against everything that this person has,
And again, lastly, the reason why scholars wouldn't take her seriously is she said something, subhanallah, that is shirk in and out of itself. She said she sees Brother Muhammad Hijab as God.
At that time, I look at this guy as a god, because I trust him enough. I was I didn't see at all anything wrong that's going to happen.
Subhanallah. When someone says this, of course, you just close the book on her. She has no case at all. This person only presents herself as someone that is obsessed with Brother Muhammad Hijab, and if she can't get him, then she's ready to go to any length to destroy him. And again, if you listen to the interview, not the one presented by Apos, you'd realize that this lady has no understanding of Islam whatsoever. How would someone come to you and tell you something without doing your due diligence, without asking scholars? You just believe him? So there's no reason for us to believe this lady. She said some few things that would make people ignore her, cursing innocent kids, saying that she's going to go any length just to get her revenge, even if it has to do with her shaking hands with the devil, and also saying that she sees Brother Muhammad Hijab as a god. So with this, I hope you've learned something. I remain your brother Abdul. Catch you in the next one.